What appears to have been a drowning is under investigation at Cherry Creek State Park tonight. It would be the second this month. The Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office says people started calling 911 around 5 tonight after seeing a man struggling in the water. Investigators say he was on an inflatable raft with 2 other people when strong winds blew across the reservoir and knocked them into the water. One person was rescued by a paddleboarder. The other swam to shore. The third person's body was recovered about an hour and a half later. The early investigation indicates no one on that raft was wearing a life jacket.
The Adams County Health Department says they have confirmed a case of tuberculosis involving a detainee in the ICE detention facility in Aurora. The department says its effort to determine if it's spread has hit a major roadblock.
Public health leaders say ICE is blocking their access to investigate how far the tuberculosis has spread. 9 News reporter Rachel Krause joins us now from that facility. Rachel, there's a standard protocol to track TB to contain outbreaks, and it apparently is not happening in this case.
Yeah, under state law, public health officials are required to investigate, and that includes talking to the patient, accessing medical records, as well as talking to people in the facility who may have been exposed for contact tracing. Now, Adams County Health Department says they've requested to do that, but the facility that's operated by the GEO Group hasn't allowed it. The health department says they issued a public health order nearly 3 weeks ago to require GEO let them investigate. Denver Health, the primary TB care provider for the area, says they haven't been allowed to communicate with staff either or see who might have been exposed. TB can be serious and at times deadly. It kills more than 1 million people worldwide every year, most outside the U.S. It's an infection that most often impacts the lungs. You can have active TB or you have active disease and symptoms like pneumonia, coughing, and shortness of breath. Some have inactive or latent tuberculosis, where your body has controlled it but hasn't gotten rid of the infection. You cannot spread TB if it's latent, but it can reactivate to active tuberculosis later on in life, usually when your immune system takes a hit. Dr. Jay Finnegan, a pulmonologist with National Jewish Health, says treating TB takes multiple drugs given diligently, often for months at a time. He says there are strict protocols that need to be followed after an active TB test to prevent the spread.
Well, I think the real concerning thing is if there's not proper control for tuberculosis. Quite honestly, you could argue you want fewer people let in to see what's going on. Obviously, you want the appropriate people to be aware of what's happening and controlling it. In general, you can control these things as long as you take the proper steps. And so I think that's what's the most important thing.
I reached out to the GEO Group, who sent us to a NICE spokesperson who said in a statement, quote, "As of today, Aurora does not have any confirmed active tuberculosis cases." That spokesperson also adds that the facility is following state and federal guidelines. Reporting live in Aurora, Rachel Krause, 9 News.
A foodborne illness is causing extreme stomach issues for people across the country. The CDC says nearly 7,000 cases of cyclospora have been linked to an outbreak. That parasite can cause horrible symptoms, including severe diarrhea. Experts say produce like lettuce could be a source of the outbreak, but other foods can't be ruled out. Here in Colorado, state public health leaders say while cases are on the rise, many are likely not related to the outbreak. There just tend to be more cases of foodborne illnesses this time of year with people traveling.
The vast majority of those cases are associated with international travel. And to put that in perspective, we have interviewed 120 cases so far of the 150 cases we've had this year. And of those 120, just 8 individuals have likely had domestic exposure.
Best way to protect yourself is the obvious: wash your hands and wash any fresh produce to decrease the risk of getting a foodborne illness.
The drought drags on across Colorado. This was the view today from Timnath Reservoir in Larimer County, just a day after it announced an emergency fish salvage effort. CPW authorized that move because of declining water levels.
There's one kid out there fishing. He's not going to drain that entire lake of fish, Kathy.
No. He got a big one, though.
Well, you got whatever he wanted.
Yes, he did.
It's such a big part of summer here in Colorado, fishing and enjoying the great outdoors. So it's a pretty tough go right now with this ongoing heat wave and drought. Temperatures back in the mid-90s today. Winds picking up this evening along the Front Range as well, which is never a good thing when it's this dry. We were 95 today. We've cooled back to 82, a little bit of a cool down there. Humidity values are on the rise, but the wind is also increasing, especially gusty around Castle Rock, South Metro area, out to Parker, Kiowa, Iowa, Elizabeth, and then down to the Monument Hill area out of the south and east. It's keeping the heavy, dense smoke from wildfires burning across our state at bay for now. But regardless, we still have air quality alerts in effect. For Denver, it's ozone. For the major fire zones, it is that dense wildfire smoke. This will be ongoing through 4 o'clock tomorrow. There's a little rain today in western Colorado, but these gusty thunderstorms also producing thunderstorm wind gusts to 50 miles per hour around Durango, Purgatory, and Cortez as they track north to south. We'll see the same setup tomorrow. Not much in the way of cloud cover or moisture coming in for Denver or the Front Range until we hit late in the weekend. And so we'll look for that mild overnight temperature trend in the mid-60s. And part of your weather headlines, we're going to talk more in detail about when that cooler weather trend is coming and when we can expect some rain.
So hot all over right now, but even just within the limits of the city of Denver, some areas are hotter than others.
The city's transportation department is targeting neighborhoods that are scientifically warmer by converting sections of asphalt into trees and native plants. 9 News reporter Janelle Finch has a look at that work.
A pebble doesn't have the weight to change the world, but combining many of them with native plants and trees,
you know, I could go on for days with the benefits.
Could cool a neighborhood.
Trees and the irrigation, all that leads to evaporation, which takes some of the heat that's in the ground and throws it back up into the air, so that's also a cooling effect.
Colin Bell is a senior engineer in Dottie's Green Infrastructure Division. He's an expert in turning asphalt into aesthetics with working benefits.
Black, asphalt, even concrete, black's a dark color, concrete's lighter, but it's a material that when the sun shines on it, it has that solar radiation, basically our sunshine, it catches it and it sucks it in.
Bell says these landscape beds are part of a city initiative to address urban heat pockets.
Yeah, SIGI, S-I-G-I, it stands for the Swift Implementation of Green Infrastructure. And the key is swift. We want to be able to put facilities like the one you're looking at as quick as we can to kind of keep pace with our changing weather.
Dottie scored Denver neighborhoods based on how hot they are and historical levels of investment.
5 points rose to the top.
Bell says at completion, Dottie will have constructed 9 sites around 5 points.
Sidewalk is about 7 degrees cooler if you got a tree-lined street. So if you're standing under the tree, right, the canopy intercepts all that heat.
While landscaping beds might not be the first thing people notice when passing by, Bell hopes what may be small to some is big to others in the future.
You know, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
Dottie says it'll finish its final 3 sites in 5 points by the end of the year. It's also planning to bring work to the Westwood, Lincoln Park, and Valverde neighborhoods. Bell says those areas also scored high on Dottie's metrics for heat and equity. Janelle Finch, 9 News.
Several large wildfires continue burning across parts of Colorado tonight. In all, they have burned nearly 400 square miles, about the size of Dallas, Texas. As you can see, they're mainly burning in the west and to the south. As that firefight drags on, Governor Polis visited the town of Beulah today and thanked workers from the Department of Transportation who quickly rebuilt a critical bridge that was destroyed in the Aspen Acres wildfire.
What I told them, I said, thank you. You are effectively first responders. They came into the fire, smoke still burning. They replaced the bridge with something so that evacuees and emergency vehicles could get over it, and we appreciate them stepping up.
The bridge is at the intersection of highways 165 and 78. The flames destroyed it on June 30th, just a day after the Aspen Acres fire was first reported. But CDOT workers were able to completely rebuild it in under 11 hours, maintaining access for emergency responders and people evacuating. Officials say it will likely take months to be fully rebuilt. As some evacuees from the Aspen Acres fires have been allowed to go home, the Orfano County Sheriff's Department issued new evacuation orders today. The update comes as the fire nears 100,000 acres burned, about 155 square miles, the size of Denver. That makes it the 7th largest in state history. The fire, which was started by a human on June 29th, is 36% contained tonight.
To the southwest part of the state, where firefighters are gaining ground on the Ferris fire. After lightning started that fire on June 27th, it's burned more than 101 square miles across Dolores and Montezuma counties. Positive work's been done on containment. It's up to 43% tonight. In the high country, the Willow fire has burned nearly 10 square miles in Lake County. Firefighters are working to strengthen the containment line south of Turquoise Lake, about 5 miles west of downtown Leadville. Investigators say this fire was caused by a person on June 28th. No more details other than that. About 200 people are still out of their homes. At last check, crews have the willow fire 28% contained. We're also keeping a close eye on the Gold Mountain fire. It's burned more than 57 square miles in Ouray County. Firefighters still aren't sure what started that fire. It's 12% contained. A helicopter pilot died fighting that Gold Mountain fire, and tonight we're learning a bit more about him. The Upper Pine River Fire Protection Group posted a tribute on social media. They say 56-year-old Nicholas Dale from British Columbia was not only a skilled firefighting pilot, but he was also instrumental in the construction of an important ski lift at Wolf Creek. Helicopter Express, which owned the helicopter he was flying at the time of the crash, says he's survived by his wife and 2 children. He is the 4th person to die fighting wildfires in Colorado this year. Emily Barker, Nick Hutcherson, and Sidney Watson were killed fighting what would eventually become the Snyder Fire along the border with Utah. 2 other firefighters were seriously hurt in that incident.
Thousands of Xcel customers in Larimer County are expected to lose power late tomorrow night. Roughly 2,000 customers in Larimer County on the west side of I-25 near Boyd Lake, south of Highway 34, and north of East County Road 16 will be impacted. They received an automated call from Xcel today notifying them of that planned outage. It's expected to start at 8 tomorrow night, last until 6 Thursday morning. Crews will be working on the transmission system being conducted by another power provider.
The area around Ball Arena could look quite different if Kroenke Sports and Entertainment has its way. Denver City Council is moving forward with plans for a pedestrian bridge over Spear Boulevard at Wawata. Once open, it would connect Lodo with the planned redevelopment project around Ball.
Very lightly touches down in Lodo, and then it crosses over Spear, and then it touches down on the arena side in the middle of a pretty intense entertainment district with a hotel, residential buildings, and a music venue.
Well, that seems genuinely useful. How about that? City Council approved the first reading of this project last night. What they're calling Wynkoop Crossing still needs to pass a second reading vote next week. If all goes to plan, construction could start as early as this fall. In a presentation to City Council a few weeks ago, the developer said the goal would be to try to have this ready for the Democratic National Convention in 2028. Denver's hoping to host that, but there's been no selection.